Hi, welcome to Film Ladder, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on film industry jobs. My name is Lexi, and I chat with creatives on what they do, how they got there, and how to excel.
I am so excited to introduce today's guest. They have worked their way up to being a set lighting technician. Their credits include The Descendants' Rise of Red, Echo, and Resball. Froy, birthday boy Madrigal, welcome to Film Ladder.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and happy birthday. I know it was over the weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the electric department. You are a set lighting technician. Give us a rundown of what that is.
Our job consists of cinematic lighting, let's put it that way. For people who don't understand what we do or how we do it, there's two different departments, which is the rigging department and then the first unit, shooting unit. We come in and we shoot. And then the riggers, they come in before we do. Prior to shooting, they prep everything for us, make sure that everything runs smoothly and save time for us while we're shooting, because I think while we're shooting, everything moves so quickly that we have to save so much time, for production. We take care of everything that has to do with electricity. I make sure that if the 18 needs power, sound is going to need power, producer village, director's monitor sometimes is going to need power, so we have to run power them. We have to make sure our lights are working perfectly every time that we step in a set to avoid any issues. Always being safe on set because electricity is pretty dangerous. So making sure everything's running smoothly for everybody.
Not only are you lighting the set, you're also supplying electricity and power to the entire crew.
Yeah, that's a lot of things people don't understand that, like we have to divide the manpower because there's some of us are having, while we're lighting, we have to bring lights, we have to plug in the lights and manipulate the lighting the way the gaffer or the director of photography needs the light. And then while other departments are calling us for power, we have to like maneuver all around set, so I think that's one of the things that people don't understand.
Yeah, for sure. And I know on the day when you're going through and obviously trying to light the set, I'm sure it's the number one priority, would you say? And then other people are like, we need power right now, though. Like, where's the screen? Where we can't see anything.
Exactly.
Like, what does a day or a week look like then for you? And how involved are you in prep as a set lighting technician? I know you've worked other positions, but that one specifically, what does that look like?
It depends on the production, how many days of prep and how long the show or the film is going to be. They give us sometimes 4 days, sometimes 2 days to be able to prep. And that's when all the testing of the lights come in. A lot of the times now we use everything is wireless. So we have to, our dimmer board up, we have to work with him to be able to program all the lights that we're going to be using during the show. And that's one of the things that's during prep, and make sure that the lights are working correctly, make sure nothing is broken so we can be ready for day one. That's what prepping consists of. When we shoot, I think it's a little bit more calm when we start production. The first week, I think sometimes is kind of like hectic because we don't know what we're getting into, because the DP is going to tell us he wants to try this, he wants to test different styles of lighting, or depending on the mood that he's going to want. The first day or week one, it's kind of like we're testing the waters of what we're getting into. And then after that, we just start kind of like getting used to everything, and then we already know what exactly we're going to do or what he's going to need or what the gaffer is going to need, So it all depends. Sometimes the leadership, you have a good leader within the gaffer. He's going to guide all of us together as a set lighting technicians, so it's like that's one of the things that we depend on, our gaffer and our best boy to be able to distribute the work accordingly for us to be able to have a smooth day or a smooth week, but we can only plan because everything can change as the days go by.
Can you give me a few examples of like on the day, different things that the gaffer might ask you to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes let's say, for example, we are behind on the day. Sometimes we're lighting one set, and then at some point within, he kind of like divides and conquer. He's going to have a couple guys with him to be able to light that scene or that set that we're properly shooting at the moment. And then he's going to kind of send his best boy and then grab a couple other technicians to be able to pre-light a different set so we can be able to like move faster as we move to a different set. Or if it's a location move, that's one thing too, is like he leaves a couple technicians with him, then he sends a couple other guys to be able to kind of get ahead of the game, because even if we try to get ahead of the game, it always changes.
Interesting. So when the rigging electric come in and they rig the lighting or whatnot, but that's only so much on the day, like you said, lighting the scene. So when they're calling to light a certain way, the gaffer and the DP and stuff, and they're calling to the dimmer op who has the control of what the riggers put up, I guess explain to the audience like there are other lights that are needed.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is correct. Yes. So a lot of the times the riggers come in, they pre-light some of the sets. They go and rig some of the condors that we're going to put an 18K, one of the big lights to be able to recreate a moonlight or the sun coming in through a window. So that's what they come and they do, and they lay down all the power for us. The riggers are so important to rig all the power, all the cabling and everything. And they rig some of the lights for us. But then we still got to come in and then we still got to add a key light, a fill, a backlight for the actresses or the actor. It can be one actor, can be 7 actors all in one. So that's when we need a lot of multiple different kinds of lights that need to be come in and be brought in during the day. That the riggers are not going to be able to provide prior of us going there. Even though they
Yeah.
had already provided certain amount of lights, we still have to come in and be able to light for mainly the actors and stuff like that, and then just kind of like manipulate some of the lights that have been there already by the rigger. Sometimes we have to move because the shot is going to change, so maybe a light is in the shot, so we have to re-rig and then move those lights. I think that's one of the things that they help us so much to be able to do that and then pre-light. But then when we come in on set, things change all the time. They're going to move the camera to a different position. They didn't like the way it looks. Yeah, it just depends on the DP what they want, and I think we're there to be able to put it in the screen however he sees it in his head.
This may be a dumb question, and if it is, I'll just delete it from when
No,
I
go
edit
ahead.
this. But is there many different types of lights, or like what's in your kit?
There is different types of lights. We have LED lights, we have HMIs, and then we have tungsten lights. The tungsten lighting we haven't used since the
What
LED
is
world
that?
came in. It's kind of like the old school 1K moles that were back in the days. Those lights look like dinosaurs now, but we haven't used them at all. But since the LED world came in, kind of like put them to the side, and then because now we can change color in an LED light, we don't have to color correct and put any gels on some of the lights. Yeah, those are the 3 different type of lights that we use.
And then on the day, like if you have to derig something or rearrange something, is anything that has to be rigged again, is that grip that teams with you guys, or do you have your own equipment too that only you guys touch?
Sometimes we do carry like smaller little parts to be able to rig our lights, but usually the grips, they do provide points for us to rig, a smaller light or stuff like that. So yeah, and again, going back to the rigging and all this stuff, like the rigging grips and the rigging electric work together to be able to provide the gear that they need for us to hang a light. They pretty much provide all the points for us to be able to hang the light. And the same thing with first unit grip, they can bring us a point, and then we just rig the light, whatever is needed, and they provide the safety for it too.
Yeah, you guys work really hand in hand with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just funny that to me, I guess you're 2 different departments that are hired separately. So you
Yeah.
never really know what grip team you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever ran out of power? Like, it's obviously not just house power. You guys bring something in. Like, you always just have enough power.
There's always enough power, but sometimes the tow plant or generator, it can go off. So there's been a couple times where, it just shuts down. Everything just goes off, and it is just to see the panic on the whole crew is like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And my remark is like, oh, I thought you guys never needed us. So it's like, that's the one thing. Now they need the juicers to be there. Yeah, but there's a couple times, not because we mess up or anything like that, but like sometimes the generators are old or sometimes it's just technical issues with them, and they shut off and everything just goes completely off.
Is there usually just one generator per set or just depends on the need in the day?
It just depends on the need of the day. It can be up to 5 or 6. Yeah.
And
It
can you
depends.
ever use house power?
We can, yeah. We can use house power, especially if we have like a lighting delay and we're inside of a house, as long as we don't use like big lights that are going to be popping breakers in the house or is going to damage the house or anything like that. And if we have permission from the owners or if locations kind of like we let them know, like if we can use their house power and stuff like that. So for the rigging gaffer has a plot of where he's going to drop all the boxes. And that's how we able to have power in the specific areas that we need between. And during scouts, they figure out
Okay.
exactly where they're going to put the generator, how they're going to run the cable, where they're going to put the distro boxes. And that's how we know, at the beginning of the day, we get 1 or 2 riggers that give us a walkthrough and then they let us know, hey, we have power here in these locations and everything like that.
That makes sense. Because I was like, okay, so it's all decided in the tech scout and then
Yeah.
that's how it gets handled. But that makes sense. Like, on the day there's also one or two there to show you it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Would you say that on your team, do you guys usually travel in a group? Like, do you work with the same guys?
Uh, not typically. Not
Okay.
typically. It depends. I like to me personally, but usually there is so many crews with a gaffer that he sticks together the same group amount of guys because I guess they already know each other. They've known the chemistry. They know how the gaffer works. Typically, that's how it works. So I've always wanted to kind of go around and meet different gaffers. Different styles of gaffers, the way they work, the way they light, and that gives me the opportunity to be able to meet different technicians because
Uh,
every technician works differently as well. In my personal way of kind of like what I wanted to do to become a gaffer, it was that part that I want to be able to learn different things or different pointers from different gaffers, because everybody's different. So I think, but yeah, typically I will if I become like a full-time gaffer, I would like to maintain the same group of guys to be able to run with me for every show or every film that I will create. Yeah.
I think my last question on this is how much knowledge do you need on electricity? Do a lot of you like go to school to be electricians or like how do you get the job?
I would recommend to know a little bit of electricity, but I don't think you need to know anything. You'll be once you're on the job, you will learn a lot. If you don't know anything about electricity, it's really good to start as a rigging electric because they deal so much with the actual electricity. They have to measure the boxes, they have to understand everything that is going to go on. So, but I don't think you need to know.
So it's not asked of you if you
No, it's not like
know any
yeah.
knowledge,
No,
which is
you're
kind of
not.
scary, but
It is, yeah, it is. But it is recommended for you to know a little bit of electricity, because it's like
yeah.
if you don't know anything, it's dangerous. We deal with a lot of with high voltage. You can kill somebody with that, if you do something wrong. Yeah, but I think it's once you come in the job, you'll learn a lot.
Okay. Is there one misconception around set lighting technicians?
The misconception that everybody has is that they call us electricians, so they think that we can fix anything that comes down with electricity. Like,
Mm,
like if for example, like if something happens in the street and the power goes out, you're like, hey, you guys know what happened?
mm,
I don't know. I don't think so.
gotcha.
But yeah, you guys can call Georgia Power and figure it out. But yeah, I think that's the misconception that everybody has about us electricians that they think that we know everything about electricity or anything like that. So and that's
Right.
why saying oh, the electrics or the electricians, the name kind of variates or kind of means like set lighting technicians, is completely different to electricians, so that I think that will help people understand more about our job. And
No, that's so true. I mean, even my last question, I was like, wait, do you guys have a background as an electrician or like how do you? Okay, no, that's good to know. I didn't even know that. So I too just figured, I was like, they all know so much about electricity and
yeah.
lights.
And then many of us do have a background in electricity, so that kind
Okay.
of helps out. And then it kind of helps teaching the next guy that comes in and doesn't really understand it. So that kind of helps us giving a little pointers to them or anything like that.
I mean, I feel like you'd have to have some love for it or some, liking if you're in
Yeah,
it, in
yeah,
film even.
yeah, absolutely.
Is there like a safety course you guys have to take or you just rely on each other for advice to learn?
There is a safety courses that they
Okay.
provide to be able
Okay.
to. Yeah, so that's a good thing. The union does provide some safety courses,
Hmm.
that people can go and learn about electricity if they don't know anything. So that's one good thing.
And I know Georgia technically is a right to work state, but do you need to be in the union to get jobs?
No, you
Okay.
don't, but you do have to be planning to be able to join that union to be able to work, especially any union sets, because you're not going to be have the same pay as everybody else or be covered
Mm.
by the insurances. Or if something happens, that person is not going to be covered by any by the production. If something happens to somebody, so yeah, they prefer
Oh,
for nobody to work without being in the union. So
gotcha. So it's highly encouraged.
yeah.
So let's rewind. I want to know what was your first in the industry.
Oh my God.
I don't know this. I'm so excited.
I was working in Chicago and I actually saw this ad on Craigslist that they were hiring like PA at that time, but I was a camera assistant, a lighting assistant, and carrying everything for this company that was shooting a lot of marketing videos back in Chicago.
I
And that was
think
my,
you aged yourself with the Craigslist ad there.
oh my God. Yeah.
Amazing.
Jeez, yeah. I think I was like 22 at the time. I was 22 when that happened, and then that was the only job I did there. And then I went back to LA. I worked in catering for back and forth, and then I started I was working at Teen Wolf, at that time. I was like season 5, I believe. And one of the camera assistants was super cool with me. And I was working there for like 2 days out of the week, 3 days out of the week. And I
Mhm.
ever asked him like if I was able to shadow him to be able to, well, his job was, because I wanted to be a DP at first, that was my goal. So I wanted to go into camera,
Okay.
and yeah, he helped me out, and he was able to get me some small jobs like music videos and small little commercials. So I was doing second ACing and doing utility work and like in music videos and commercials in LA, and that's how I started until I moved here to Atlanta. Yeah, but that was my in where I was working in catering for Teen Wolf, and I was able to kind of like maneuver back and forth. Yeah, and
Wow. So
yeah,
when you said your first job that you got on Craigslist for Chicago, did that allow you to work? Like, is that the connection to
it
catering, or that
was.
was kind of a one-off?
Yeah, it was because the guy that I worked for, he ended up moving to LA, so that's why I moved over there. He wanted me to go and be able to work with them. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I think they moved right after that job, and after that, I moved over there, and he was able to give me a little more work over there as well. Yeah. So and then one
Wow.
of my cousins was working at Team Wolf, so everything kind of like lined up perfectly. Being in LA, it was just so expensive. I needed like multiple jobs to be able to pay rent.
Right.
So yeah, I was doing that and working, shadowing at the same time, and it was free. I wasn't getting paid, or they'll give you
No.
a minimum wage at least. So that was like my way of breaking into the industry.
Then explain from that job how you got to where you are now.
I got a job here in Atlanta, and it was offered as a lighting technician. And I was like, "Ooh, I don't know anything about lighting or what I needed to do." So I'm like,
Yeah.
"But yeah, that's perfect." And then my mentor, the one who got me into camera, he measured me like, "Well, if you want to DP one day, maybe it is good for you to jump into the lighting world
Uh-huh.
and understand the lighting, and see how everything works out for you." So I ended up doing that, and I came here, and I was gonna be here for about 2 3 weeks. It was a music video and commercials that I did here for them.
Okay.
And yeah, that's how it started. And I ended up getting more work. I met a producer here, young guy. He gave me my first opportunity here in Atlanta. And from there on, he kept me working and working. And then I wanted to do camera more. But then once I started working with like another lighting technician here who became a gaffer, I kind of fell in love with lighting a lot more than I did with camera. It was just so much of the technicality that we have to do in lighting. I wanted to learn more about it, and I want to do more. So I ended up doing that, and I stayed with lighting. I've been here for 9 years now. So
And you've gotten to one, be a best boy on tons of sets, and then also step in as the gaffer on a couple sets. Is that end goal now for you to just be a full-time gaffer?
it is. That's my end goal, to be a full-time gaffer. I tested the waters of every position that I wanted to go into. I kind of enjoy being the gaffer because of the artistic side.
Another random question I just thought of. You guys, obviously, the electricians, the grips, and then the DP all work together. It's like this triangle to light
Yeah,
the sets. Does the DP, who not that they're in charge of you, but they're the one calling the shots, right, of how you need to light it, does that really set the tone for how the show's going to go based on the DP
it
for
does.
your team specifically?
Yeah, it does. I mean, every show it does. He sets the tone of what he's gonna want to do and what he does. Because there's some DPs that they only want some simple lighting, and there's other DPs where are gonna want and at every detail, he's gonna want a small little light on this fixture that is over here, or he wants a practical on this lamp that is over there. Depends on the project too. The DP definitely sets the tone for us how it's gonna go for the rest of every shoot. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun though. I guess you get to compare notes in a way to,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're the one that can tell right away a good DP to not a good DP versus like I'm a producer on set. I don't always see that. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's getting shot well or not.
Yeah. I don't think that there's a good or bad DP. I think every DP is definitely going to be different. So it depends on what they call like, oh, this DP is good or this DP is bad. But
Hmm.
I think like you can tell from a DP's not experience to when a DP is experienced.
Okay.
I just don't think that they're good and bad, but
Hmm.
you can definitely tell between experienced and unexperienced DPs. I've had the opportunity to work with the unexperienced and experienced DP, and you can automatically tell right away. When a DP is experienced, he already knows what light he wants, he already knows what he's going to call for. And
Yeah.
then other DPs who are not so experienced, especially in lighting, they are just testing which light is going to be better.
Uh,
And then DPs that understand the lighting, they already know which light is going to work for them and for the subject that we have on camera or for anything that we're shooting, you know. So I think that's when you can differentiate between a DP. I don't think it's good or bad, any good or bad DPs, because their job is
Okay.
extremely difficult as it is, you know. So
Yeah.
I think I would like to describe that.
I guess it's just how educated, like you said, they are in the lighting. So now I'm just thinking, you wanting to be a DP at one point, it was good advice to kind of switch over to lighting because you can become familiar with the lights. So I'm just like, how do DPs get familiar with the lights? I guess being on set, but
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I was definitely going the wrong path if I wanted to start in camera and DP at some point.
so basically with the lighting, what I usually ask is there is no formal handbook for this job. And it sounds like with the misconception that you guys are electricians, which I know I keep referring to you guys even as. So what helped you do the job well?
One would experience making mistakes. I think making mistakes is the best. Just in life is the same thing in lighting. You know, you learn as you go by, and every job is going to be different content wise, but lighting wise, we all maintain the same type of lights. You know, so I think once you get familiar with the type of lights that we have, you can learn the job quickly. You know, and I don't think there's any technicians or gaffers in our industry but hasn't read a book, you know, the Set Lighting Technician's Handbook. I do recommend that book a lot. It teaches you a lot about the rigging department, the first unit, shooting crew, set etiquette. I think that book is really cool. I have it here. Yeah, if anybody wants to break into the industry, just read it. You know, it's huge, big pointers of how to do your job on set. It's experience as you go by. You know, I think like everything else.
Like every department in this
Yeah.
thing. But that's a great resource. This is the first time I've ever heard someone be like, oh, we all refer to this book that
Yeah.
lays down a lot of the equipment. I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
nice that that's
Yeah, nice.
there. And I want to know, what are different personality traits that really fit this role?
There's so many different personalities in the departments. You have to be a little crazy to love this job, you know, especially the long hours. You know, it's going to take a toll on your body. You have your funny guys, and then you have not so funny guys. But yeah, I think anybody can fit in our jobs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you work. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our industry is like you meet people with different backgrounds, so many other talents. I think it doesn't really matter where you come from, what you do, or what you did in the past. You definitely will fit in.
How much do you think a good personality fits in the role? And I say this because a lot of the other jobs, you have to have a good personality, you know, if you want to continue to get jobs. But I feel like G&Es, you guys sometimes have a reputation of just being the non-caregivers in the
Yeah.
set. And it's like, you're not, though, what's the word? You're not like penalized for it. It just
Yeah.
comes with the nature of it. So, I mean, do you guys have to have, like, how much does personalities really matter in your role versus if you could just do the job well?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's a day and night kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, so if you are just there and do your job, but you are a complete jerk, you're completely definitely probably not gonna get called back
Okay.
for the next job. Yeah, I mean, you treat people with respect, you know, and that's like you said, you know, we do have the reputation of like no cares in the world, you know, around set. Some people don't respect like I really respect PAs, and in our departments, you know, like some of us like we're in a rush all the time, and then like PAs are trying to hold us. Like, oh man, it's like you don't know how it feels to carry the light on your shoulder, and that's why it kind of like sometimes it frustrates us. But they do have a job to do as well. It's just I think being nice will definitely get you a lot more jobs than just being a complete jerk, you know, and not caring. Like this PA just stopped me for no reason, blah blah. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason why. I care a little more than some other guys, and yeah, you'll definitely get more jobs being nicer than just being a complete jerk, you know. So
Yeah.
but yeah, we do have that.
And I get it, right?
Reputation.
Like, it's nice that you're so kind to PAs because PAs, especially, they're usually very green and they're getting asked a million different tasks and they have no idea how every department works together. So if it's like,
Yeah.
hey, this monitor is out, like, you need to get power somehow, and they're just like, okay. And then they're just stopping you know, G&Es who are just like in the middle of lighting a scene.
Yeah.
And I can see why it's like, they're like, oh, these PAs are, oh, can't they see I'm doing something? But we have no idea, like, what you're doing because you guys are on
Yeah.
a total different channel, even like on the walkies. So
Absolutely,
we
yeah.
have no idea. But I remember whenever I would have to get power for the producers or whatnot, I would always be
Yeah.
like, hi, electrics, I really care about you guys. And I'm just like, whenever you have a
Yeah.
second, if I can please get power.
Yeah.
I just see someone with like a stinger. I was like, my guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like when everyone comes from a place of understanding it, then it flows a little better, right? And we
Yeah.
all will do things for each other. But I think that first, like breaking the ice and like, we're not enemies here, people, you
No,
know?
yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah. I think what can help too, because it's like we do have everybody does come and kind of get in our channel and ask for power or things like that, and they don't know that like maybe we're in the middle of a setup.
Yeah.
But I think that has a lot to do with like paying attention what we're doing on set as well. And I think one of the best things is that like just pay attention what's going on, because sometimes we might be lighting and the gaffer is giving us notes
Mm,
to whatever he needs. And there's so many steppage sometimes
mm,
that if we don't bring it in, he's gonna be like, "Hey, what's going on? Why isn't this getting on set?" or things
right.
like that. Yeah, I mean, of course, I've gotten mad at PAs or frustrated, but hey,
Well, like you said, sometimes it's how it's delivered, right? So, like, you have this random person who you've never met before just going on your channel and being like, electrics, we need power, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, we are doing something. We will come to you when we can,
yeah,
versus, like you said, if people read the situation. And again, this is kind of my heart behind the podcast. Like, we all
yeah,
don't understand how we all run and how we all work. And if
yeah,
we did, the set would be that much a little better of a place, you know?
yeah. Uh-huh. No, that's
Yeah.
that's definitely that's why it's so good. I think this podcast is really good because of that. Kind of helps everybody else understand what everybody else's job is. So yeah, no, it's great.
So, my next question is give us a hard truth of being a set lighting technician.
You're not going to get full-time jobs immediately. You have to keep looking for the next job, even if it's day one or day two. And I think this is for not just set lighting technicians. I think for grips as well, you have to worry about the next job. And you're not always going to be called. I think that's the hard truth, that you're not always going to be called for the next job. Even if you had worked with this gaffer or worked with this other gaffer, you're never always going to be called again, and they're not going to give you a reason why, but just I think moving forward and keep going and keep pushing, I think that's it. But I think that's the hard truth for me. That's what it is, that you don't know if you're going to be called back for the next job.
Who are your main people that bring you along? Is it the gaffer? Is it the best boy? Is it other, like, who supplies you the jobs?
Yeah, usually the gaffer will request for certain people, but the best boy is usually kind of bringing his crew. Yeah, so the best boy usually is in charge of doing all the hiring. The gaffer does have like certain requests for the best boy, maybe with people that he has felt comfortable with in the past,
Hmm.
or maybe with the guys that he likes to have around on set.
And what is your team consisted of? Like, how many set lighting technicians and whatnot are usually on a film set?
Usually it's like the gaffer, the best boy, and then you have from 4 to 5 set lighting technicians. Every single one of us might have a specific job to do. There's so many like traits. For example, like there's one guy that takes care of all the carts. He's in charge of all the equipment. He's in charge to make sure that all the equipment gets back to the carts. And then you have your guy who is on set. It can be 1 or 2 guys that are on set, close to the gaffer, paying attention to what's going on. Maybe the gaffer has to step away, so you step in for a little bit, making sure that everything else is kind of running smoothly for the gaffer, for example. Then you have all the guys who are just floating around. If somebody needs, I don't know, maybe AC power, all the guys are there helping the car guy, and the best boy is just floating around making sure that everything's running smooth. But yeah, it's usually from 4 to 5 set lighting technicians that are core. Then we have additionals if we have a night shoot that we're going to be on location, so we can have 2 to 3 people and stuff like that. Yeah,
When you just said AC, it just made me think of Oh, What Fun. We did that movie together, right?
we did.
All these things are merging together. And just a Christmas movie in July. And oh
Yeah.
my gosh, the amount of times I was like, hey, electric, can I get a stinger? I have another
Yeah.
AC unit. I need you.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that was terrible.
No, yeah, the heat was crazy, and then but we ended up getting an extra guy specifically to plug in ACs. So it was, how did they manage to do that? I don't know, but yeah,
Oh, I mean, and that's just a whole nother thing of like where film sets try to cut corners and then they realize in the long run you're gonna need more labor for where you're trying to cut a corner. It's so
yeah,
hot and we have to get all these AC units, which now
yeah,
cost so much money. And yeah, that's besides me, but luckily one day we'll hopefully be in charge and can change a lot of things.
yeah. Hopefully,
Any last piece of advice you have for someone trying to get into your department?
I think working hard is advice. Kind of like having a good set etiquette will get you a long way as well. Be respectful to everybody else who has been doing this job for longer than somebody else has. I think the respect among technicians is a big thing. If they're just starting off, for whatever reason they want to come in into the to be a lighting technician, if they want a DP or if they just want to be gaffers, I think that working hard, having a great work ethic will take you a long way. Respecting everybody else in every other department that will help people that are coming into the industry for technicians, and dedicate yourself to learn the job, at least the craft that you want to do. Because we learn every day. It doesn't matter if we've been doing it for a year or if we're doing it for 20 years. I think every single day we learn something else. Having an open mind that will help somebody else. Being self-efficient is a big thing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask too. And you kind of said, all right, someone trying to get their way on set. And obviously, it's really hard now when there's very limited jobs. But to recap, you're like, okay, read that book that
Yeah,
talks about the equipment. And then you said get it on the rigging side is kind of a good way
it
to
is.
get in.
Yeah, yeah. It will definitely make you understand electricity and you'll know more. And once you get into the first unit, you will completely understand how everything works and why they're doing the things that they are actually doing.
Networking from there, I guess, and kind of vocalizing that you want to do the switch to
Yeah.
set and whatnot. Is that just having to navigate inside your department?
Yeah, getting to know all the different technicians, because one technician is gonna pass your number to another technician, and it just goes up the ladder. And even if they're not lighting technicians, maybe your grip is gonna pass your number to another best boy electric or something. They'll pass your number and then they'll bring you on. That's how it works. So
I think that's another part that like a lot of people don't realize. And I've talked about it on every single podcast is how much you have to network.
yeah,
And
yeah, so much.
it's such a weird industry. And hopefully one day there's like a website or something that we can all, I mean, I guess that's what unions are for, right? Your information's in the union website of if gaffers wanted to find your information. Is that right?
Yeah, they is there, but like when you join the union, they tell you, it's not a hiring hall, so they're not gonna get a job for you. So
Mm,
for right there is just literally
it's like,
telling you
no.
you have to network because we're not gonna get a job for you. So and that makes it tough. It's like, oh man, because a lot of people they think that joining IATSE or a union is like, oh, as soon as you join the union, you're gonna have a job, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. It's tough, especially right now that there's like so limited of jobs.
That kind of sucks, right? You kind of wish that like a union would help you get a job or somehow get your name out there. And my hope one day, I don't know, maybe I should start developing this, is just like a place where crew members can submit things. Like, why is it all so word of mouth and just so like it's created this environment of
Yeah,
how to find out about jobs, but then also not in a sneaky way, but not in, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you,
yeah.
it's just all, I'm like, there has to be a better way. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm like, how have we not made a better way? You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, yeah, they definitely make it a little tough for like, the little people to find jobs and to grow in their career. Especially it's like there's this job coming in already, but then somebody else already has it. And then it's like, well, how did they know that we didn't know nothing about it? So it's like, yeah, I think that's the thing that sucks. It's like, and yeah, the networking part can be annoying, but I mean, it's what you have to do. But yeah, I think they do have to definitely develop something that can be able to help.
It's so true of just half the time what we hear coming up is already filled. And so it just kind of creates a madhouse sometimes, especially I feel like the last week or two on set when everyone's like, gotta look for the next job. And everyone's just
Yeah.
like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like everyone's just like panicking, and it just sucks. It doesn't have to be that way. We're all so talented. And I wish
Yeah.
there was always just work for us, but we have to somehow fish out our jobs.
Yeah.
All right. I always end with this question now. It's my favorite. What was your most memorable on-set story?
I have tons of memories, but I do have one that sticks out the most. It was during Echo. We were shooting in Griffin. They were recreated a powwow. So there was like a lot of Native Americans. They have a festival, and then it was going to be like a shooting scene and all this stuff going on. During the day, everything was running very smooth, but recreating the powwow, it was like about 2 football fields length. So it was like huge. We have about 6 condors to be able to light everything. We had small little arts and crafts pop ups. So we have to light all those things up. And one of our guys ended up getting COVID. So as the day was like, oh, it's great, we have everything covered. But then he got sick. So he ended up getting sent home. We lost the momentum, and we're just like running like crazy all over the place. Like we couldn't be on set because the camera was gonna look everywhere. We had a drone shot, and then we had a camera rigged on top of of where the powwow was going to be or the dancing. So they were going to see the whole world. The working part that's the most memorable for me because we literally got our butts kicked that day. It was just nonstop for like 12 and like 11 and a half hours back and forth, getting lights, get them here,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
going up to where we had our staging, and then bring them back, and then put them here, and then picking them up, and then take them back because we couldn't have anything close around, you know. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like such limited spaces where we can have our lights, and some of the lights weren't small, you know, so we weren't able to hide them. And at the end of the night, which it was like the best part for me, and for a lot of, I think the whole crew, it was the best part, you know, as they were dancing and doing their powwow stuff that they do there. They invited us to go and dance with them in the circle, you know, and this is kind of like a sacred ground for them, for Native Americans. And everybody was just like, oh, like, can we go in there? Can we step in there? But it's like they started inviting us all the way in. And
Okay.
yeah, the whole entire crew just started dancing with them. And we just went in a circle and started dancing with them. And me being a native from Mexico, you know, it was kind of like part of my roots come from the same thing, you know. So it was like
Yeah.
such a cool moment to experience, and I was able to take video of that. Yeah, it was. I think that's the most memorable moment that I've had in my career to be able to do that. Because it's like at the beginning of the day, we got our asses kicked, and then at the end of the day, it was kind of like a reward, you know, to be
Yeah.
able to, like, they saw that and like just invited us to enjoy the moment with them, you know. So it was such a great thing.
That sounds so cool. Where does Echo, like, where does that live? What platform?
His Disney, so it was a
Okay.
Marvel shoot. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. I'll have to check that out. That sounds amazing.
it was pretty cool. Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, like just my most memorable day. Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely a tough show, but it was fun to shoot.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much, Roy. This was so informative
yeah.
and it's
No,
going to
thank
help a
you.
lot of people.
Thanks for listening to Film Ladder. I hope this episode brought you one step closer to understanding the many paths through the film industry. If you like this episode, consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing with someone else also navigating their next step. Until then, keep climbing.